I recorded it to the cloud. According to the North Carolina License Law and Commission rules, which of the following requires a real estate license? Boom, boom, boom. All right, we got some right, we got some wrong, we got some people that didn't answer. Let's see, somebody didn't answer there. The next one we'll do a little bit better. Okay, let's take a look at these answers here. Those that answered mostly got it right. Negotiating a lease agreement for residential property for a landlord. What's going on in Chris's mind when he asked this particular question? Do you remember that an unlicensed person for a property manager can do some things? They can collect rents, they can do show properties. What they cannot do is negotiate a lease. So for those of you who got that one correct, that's fine. Nobody fell for home staging. That's good. Clearly doesn't require a real estate license. Providing management services of condominium association. Weirdly enough, HOAs and condo associations are not governed by the Real Estate Commission, so you wouldn't need a license for that. The other one that's a little bit tricky is maintaining a trust account for tenant security deposits on personally owned real estate. Think about it. Sometimes on these questions, you're thinking so hard about all the stuff we're talking about real estate agents. Notice that there's people out there that own real estate and have their own properties that they rent out that do not have a real estate license. And clearly they have to have a trust account because of state law in North Carolina requires them to have a trust account. So I'm happy with that answer. You guys did good starting out on that. Any questions?
That's what you get when you read too fast.
What's that?
Where do I touch? I touch on the screen of my computer or
on your phone. On your phone. Now that you're logged into the game, Roger, and I think you were logged in. Lisa, did you see him, Roger?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Then you should be able to play on your phone if you logged in on your phone.
All right. Can I play on my computer?
If you logged in on your computer, you would be able to.
I prefer. I'm old school.
Okay, well, that's going to depend on whether you logged in on your computer or not. So if you're seeing it, on the screen, you might be seeing the video. I mean, you may be seeing what I'm seeing here, but if you don't have a way of answering. Now, if you don't want to play through your phone, that's fine. Just don't holler out the answers when you give everybody a chance to answer.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, just one question. We just click on the top of the answer, or we need to click is on the top of the X, whatever.
Ashley, hold your phone closer to the. Can you show them what the screen looks like there? Yeah, and what'll happen is when the question comes up, it will give you 4 different colors to choose from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the easiest way to do it, Roger. If you logged in on your phone.
This is like a remote.
Okay, let's go.
Yeah, and watch what happens
like
when we
read it on your
question.
computer.
Oh, okay. They could be at different speeds. Your computer and your phone. All right, let's get to the next question. Ready? We'll get the bugs worked out here. Dun, 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 dun. Nadia's in the lead. Bree coming in a close second. Everybody else still trying to work out their technology. You will get it right on this one. Here it goes. Which of the following would be exempt from the requirement to have a North Carolina real estate license? Well, a son with an MBA helping parents manage a property for rent, an attorney selling a property as a trustee in a foreclosure sale, an auction company selling real property, an assistant working under a broker to show houses for sale, which does not have to have a license to do that activity.
I read too fast.
All right. We got a couple of people that were in there. Is it going too fast, Ashley?
It's way too fast.
Okay.
Yeah, before we even, the timing is just too fast. Yeah.
Okay. Lisa,
trying to read all the options.
Can you change the game once we start, or is it just going to be 20 seconds? Lisa, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I think we would have to stop it and start it.
Okay. Let's see. Janani, would it be worthwhile to stop and restart the game with?
No. I think we'll try and get the hang of it. Maybe next time we can try to tweak a little bit.
And Ashley, keep in mind that at the end of each question, I'm going to walk through them. Okay. So let's keep the speed where it is, because I did want to put a little bit of tension on you and
Uh-huh.
some of them are longer than the others. I will stop reading them though. With me trying to read them, that might be affecting you as well. Okay. So
Just
here's
can't
what
like
we have.
process the words
Yeah.
that fast.
10 o'clock in
Here's-
the morning.
Here's what, in this particular case, remember your strategy on the North Carolina license law and commission rules was to read that document 3 times before we finish. Within that document, there's actually a section where it talks about exempt activities, meaning, man, it sure sounds like they're selling real estate, but they don't have to have a license. An attorney acting in the course of his business does not necessarily have to have a real estate license to do that. Now, an attorney can't go out and list a bunch of properties, don't get me wrong. But if he's acting as a trustee in a foreclosure sale, or as a guardian in a situation, or a receiver in bankruptcy, he would not have to have a real estate license. The other one that people fell for was the son that has, great credentials, but he doesn't have a license. And you can sell your own properties, but anytime I sell for somebody else, notice what the son got in this case. He got free rent. Some people get confused by that and they say, well, wait a minute, that's not compensation. It is, because the way the law is worded is you can't receive any valuable consideration. It doesn't say you can't receive money. It says you can't receive valuable consideration. And free rent would, of course, be valuable consideration. Okay. Nobody fell for the other two. Auction company selling real property does have to have a real estate license. Now, the crier of the sale does not have to have a license, but the auction company would. And an assistant working under a broker to show houses for sale. Assistants that show properties have to have a license. You can have an unlicensed assistant, but they can't show property. All right. Get your fingers ready here. And by the way, are there any follow-up questions there? You can ask me questions. We've got plenty of time built in. Okay. All right. I'm going to be quiet and we're going to go to the next question. Ready? Go. I always forget about the scoreboard. Okay, now we're getting people into the game and you're getting it right here. Here's the way I would study this. I would not stay up late at night studying this. I would simply write down 2 lists next to each other. Advantages of being an employee, advantage of being a independent contractor, and that's the flashcard that I would study in this particular case. You are not going to get a regular paycheck if you're an independent contractor. You're not going to get company benefits. You're not going to get paid vacation. You can get vacation, but you're not going to get paid vacation. But you do get to control your schedule. Now, one of the things that if for some reason you were to come to work for my office, let me give you an example of what would happen. We can't require you to be at any of our meetings, but we could highly encourage you to be at these meetings or these trainings. But an independent contractor has complete control of their schedule. You feel good about that?
Okay.
Boom, boom. All right. All right. We're getting it now. We're getting it now, Lisa. All right. Ashley, you getting it now? All right. We're not stressing you. Here we go. Let's see who's in the lead now. Oh, Nadia. What happened? I lost Bree. For some reason, she's not on my screen. I don't see, but Bree has taken.
I'm still here.
All right. I don't know why I can't see you, Bree, on my on mine. But anyway, you're here and you're in the lead. You brought some of that Myrtle Beach love back with you from that, and you're kicking it. So here we go. Next question. Look at you all got it.
Yes.
Right. I tried to trick you on that one. I threw in
Yes.
the positive money, and I thought y'all would think handling money would not be okay for an unlicensed assistant, but they're doing it under the supervision of a BIC. So it's absolutely okay. I won't beat that one to death since you got it. And the other thing that's going on in your mind is like, man, you're asking a bunch of questions about what people can do and cannot legally do. Well, remember, that's what you've studied so far, right? So each week that we do this, it will be based on what you've covered so far, okay? Good job on that one. Now we got to see who had the fastest fingers. So not only is she smart, but she's also fast. Bree is taking the lead there.
I still needed to figure out how to answer because I put my questions, but my questions are not recording. I don't know what's happening. Okay, let's go.
You know what you need to do next week, Roger? You live nearby, don't you? Didn't I meet you in the office one day?
Yeah, I can go there and maybe you can explain how.
Yeah, you come sit here and do it with me if you want to. You can
Okay,
come to the
let's go,
office.
let's
You
go.
could do the live version if you
Yeah.
wanted to.
Follow.
All right. Are you ready? Like Nadia's getting really serious now. She doesn't like being in second place. All right. So she's getting serious. She's like, how can I be quicker? Here comes Nadia.
Unlicensed employee of a property.
All right. Let's see. An unlicensed employee of a property management company may do all the following except. Lisa, we have a mistake in this question here. Oh, no, we don't. We're looking for the exception. Okay. They cannot negotiate lease terms. They can, in fact, show properties for rent. Whoever answered number one on that, an unlicensed employee can show properties for rent, but here's your learning point. Here's your learning point. An unlicensed person can never show a property for sale. And whoever missed that will thank themselves later for missing it, because hearing that explanation, that's the only question that they would ask in regards to that bullet point right there. So you did us a favor for
Just
everybody
reading
else.
it. I'm just reading it too fast.
That's okay. That's okay. Yeah, we'll set it a little bit differently next time, but we're going a little bit for the tension here. Good job on that. Oh, Janini's flying up the scoreboard now. Bree's still holding on the lead. Boom, you got that one all right. What was I trying to trick you with there? Actually, I don't know what I was trying to trick you with, but I saw a question similar to this on the Pearson VUE practice materials. So I thought I would throw it out there to see if there is any confusion, but Nicole's done a good job of preparing you guys on that. So you're in great shape. Let me tell you where I was going with the question is that, man, you got to know your numbers. 75 hours to get your pre-license, 90 hours, 3 classes to complete your post license, CE starting with your second renewal, 8 hours pre. I mean, you just got to know those numbers. But here's the good news about it. If you know those numbers, you're automatically going to get 1, maybe 2 points on the exam. So good job on that one. Right? Let's move on. See, Bree is on fire. Get you all over the place here. All the following require a firm license. This was an accept question. Remind me, Lisa, when we go back and tweak these, let's capitalize the words accept so they'll know that they're looking for the exception questions on these. Okay, you can see the trick I tried to put on you here. General partnerships, single member LLCs, and corporations are all what we refer to as entities. Entities require a firm license. A sole proprietorship is not an entity, so therefore it doesn't require
a license. Yes,
yeah, it doesn't require a license. Now, having said that, when I was a sole proprietorship, I have a license that says Chris Barnett on it, right? So people could, I could receive compensation as Chris Barnett for a closed transaction. Over time, I hired agents. There are agents that are under my BIC ship, so to speak, but it doesn't change the fact that I'm still a sole proprietorship. So keep in mind, there's a difference between a sole practitioner and a sole proprietorship. A sole practitioner is one person, okay? A sole proprietorship is a way of owning a business. Now, what's the downside of being a sole proprietorship? I'm subject to liability. Tax consequences are going to be different than if I was an entity. So again, just get really focused on the only 2 or 3 questions we could even ask you on that topic. I got you a little bit on that one. I won on that one.
Okay.
All right, Bree still holding strong, but Janini's making a strong move. A strong move, Janini. Man, this is a hard question. I was just mean on this question right here. Somebody got it right. One of them got it right. The correct answer there is to take 8 hours of continuing education annually. So let me tell you why I was feeling mean. Apparently, I ran out of bourbon when I was writing this question because this is overly mean. So here's the deal. I almost never use the word non-provisional, but that's the word they use on the test, a non-provision. I usually just say a full broker, but that's not the way they word it on the test. So a non-provisional broker, all of you recognize this person has already completed their 90 hours. So far, so good? Good? Not
Yeah, you
good.
see, this is the trick because when I read non-provision, I understand, oh, the guy just finished the course and he needs to be with a broken chart to start. I didn't realize it's a full broker, right?
Yeah. So he is a full broker. Would everybody nod and agree that he is a full broker?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, perfect so far. Now, here's what's interesting. Once you become a broker, you don't necessarily have to have a broker in charge to be active.
Yeah.
You would have to have a broker in charge or be a broker in charge to practice brokerage activities. Do you remember LL Beans? List, lease, buy, exchange, auction, negotiate, sell, whatever it is. But it's possible. I have some people that are full brokers that every once in a while they'll send me a referral. And if they send me a referral, I can pay them because they're a full broker and they're an active. They don't need a broker in charge because they didn't solicit. A family member came to them and said, hey, don't you have your license? I need to buy a house. And they just simply referred them to me and they were able to be compensated for that. So I will say that was a hard question. Let's see who got it right. Let's see who got it right. Who moves up the board? Ashley. Boom. Ashley got the hard one right.
Hey, Ashley, you have a copy of the answers?
Yeah, well, I forgot to tell y'all this about Ashley. She's insanely competitive. Okay. So it was at some point she was going to make her move. So the challenge has been thrown down. Let's see what happens now. If any of you have questions, don't forget, chime in because sometimes I get in a groove and I forget to stop and ask questions. Next question, here it comes. Ah, crap. I just gave you the answer. All right, all of you did fine on that. My trick on that one was I threw it out of state to try to trick you a little bit, but nobody fell for that. So you did fantastic on that one. Good job. Hey, where's Charlotte? I thought she was jumping on. All right, good job and quick. Next question. By the way, everybody take a deep breath. We're a third of the way through. All right. Do we need to put any wagers on this? Make it a little more competitive? No. We won't go there today. Maybe next time. Maybe next time when you've got a good feel for everything. This is an except question. All but which of the following? Okay, you guys did well. I was trying to trick you on this particular question right here. So there's two ways to learn this. One is the bundle of rights, deep sea, disposition, exclusive use, what's the other, inquired enjoyment, possession, and what is C? Deep sea. Anyway, whatever it is. So there's two
Control.
ways to attack this question is control. There you go. You can know it. You can just flat out know what the components of it are, and you can back into the question. Now, let me tell you what the trick is in this. Now, part of the bundle of rights is the idea of disposition, which gives you the right to be able to dispose of your property. It doesn't say you have the ability. If you're upside down, for example, and you owe more than what it's worth, you have the right to sell it, but you're not going to have the ability because you're not going to be able to clear title on that. So I see you shaking heads on that. So I feel like y'all discussed that, and that's an awesome shape right there.
I have a question here,
Yeah, go ahead, Roger.
because probably it's because my English is so poor. All but means no or except, something like that.
Yeah. And I'll
Okay.
go back and I'll try to do that. Hey, all of you listen to this. There are no except or exemption. Well, there might be some exemptions. There are no except or all the following are true, but they've told us that they've eliminated those on the test. They tend to make good practice questions though. So I continue to use them. So Roger, from that standpoint, hopefully you won't have to run into that on the exam. And that one was just written by me, very colloquial, and that's why it felt that way. You're exactly right. Yep. Okay. All right. Let's see. What's next? Oh, true or false? This is a quick one.
Yeah.
Got you happy on this. Okay, there's a couple of tricks on this one. The first one is I use the word lessor, and I'm trying to get you used to using your ORs and EEs. The lessor is the landlord. Nod your head if you agree with that. Lessor is the landlord. Okay, and the landlord owns the property, right? And if he owns the property, they also own the subsurface rights. And so really, that's kind of what my trick was, playing games with OR and EE. Okay. I'm guessing Ashley missed that when she was shaking her head. So Bree is back to the top. Bree's back to the top. Good job. Janani is still on fire. She just can't quite get over the hump. This is true, which is true. Okay. You did well on that one. Personal property is conveyed on a bill of sale. Real property deed, personal property, bill of sale. Let's see, what was the other answer? That removable basketball goal, the reason I use that one is, remember, there's a list of items that convey with the property. And the basketball goal, if it had been attached to the house, it would have stayed. But since it's portable, you could take it with you. So just trying to pick up some common mistakes that people make on this. Good job. Boom, 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 boom. Bree hanging on to the top position. Oh, this is a toughie. This is a toughie. Daggone it. Apparently not tough enough. I'm not tricking you guys any. The first trick that I, but this is where we're getting ready to start. Ready? Go.
Lesser had the
We've
right.
already done this one.
I know, but this is where it's starting. So answer it anyway. You should know the answer this time. Is everybody in? Okay. Everybody got it right. So let's see who was the quickest on the board. It wasn't Ashley because she was complaining that she'd seen the question before. So she's going to be at the bottom. Nope, she did fine. Quick fingers. What? Oh, she was 1 second, 1 split second quicker than Bree. All right. I think this is going to be a new question for you. So here we go. Rely on your quick fingers.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
this
we
one.
did this one.
That's right. Then you should get it right. All right. This one should be new. Hang on, this one's not new. Can I skip this one? Can I skip it?
No, we want to do it. Get this.
Okay. Okay. It's
That one is new.
Bree's getting for points. Bree's going for points.
Oh,
All right. Let's see who was quick on the draw. All right, I'm going to slow down here just simply because I think the next one might be new. So Bree's fast fingers. Everybody's doing good. Nadia, there's one that she is like, I'm not going to answer that one. We're just going to skip it. And then I didn't skip it. So Nadia, that's my fault. So you got to come from behind. And I forgot to tell you, there's a $100 gift certificate on the line on this one. So no, there's not. No, there's not. Nadia's going to throw something at me. Okay. I think this one's new. Let's try and see if this one's new. Ready?
is your computer charging?
Bree says if I'm in the lead, I want to make sure that your computer's charging. So far, it's working fine. All right. Well done on that. Now, let me tell you a couple of tricky things on this. You got it right, so I'm not worried about this at all. What is the, open up your mics right here. Let's see who knows the answer to this question. What is the most important determining factor of whether an item is a fixture or not? What's the most important determining factor of whether an item is a fixture?
Screwed in.
I thought you'd say that. Who wants to say the right answer now that y'all said the wrong answers?
It's the attachment, right? If the thing
See,
is
now three
attached.
of you are wrong. Okay, all right. Everybody else want to be wrong as well? Janani's like, that's what I was going to say, so I'm not going to say anything.
No, I mean, it has to be as per IRMA, right? Intention,
Yeah.
relationship, method, and
Methods.
adaptation.
That's right, Irma. Okay, now here's where I was going with that. The most important determining factor of whether an item is a fixture or not is what the contract says. Okay.
That's right.
And the reason I bring that up is you look at something, oh crap, if I'm not careful, I'll mess up and give you another answer here. But there are some things that are literally not attached that could be considered a fixture if the contract says they're a fixture. And then if it's ambiguous, then you go to the total circumstance, which is IRMA, okay? And the intention of the attacher, and to be quite honest with you, the intention of the attacher is usually expressed in the contract. Does that make sense to you? Okay, y'all did great on that. So you got what you need. Boom, 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 boom. Comes Ashley charging back up. Bree is holding on. Listen closely.
Well, I don't know. It's trick because you just okay, forget.
Yeah. So sometimes I forget what I had just said and or what the next question is going to be. That's I want to have that point, but we just discussed that. So you did well on that. It's not true. What's true is what's in the contract.
Yeah, that's right. You just no problem.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. Next question. Here we go.
No.
I don't know what a Viking stove is.
Okay. Now they rarely do that to you, Bree. But having said that, the reason I wanted to throw it in, and Bree, you have your microphone open, so I'm going to have you walk through. And you guys did really, really well on this. But again, I'll tell you a little bit about why I built the question the way that I did. Do you remember in the offer to purchase and contract, and you may have not taken a long look at the offer to purchase and contract, but one of the fixtures provision, one of the components in a fixture is a stove, oven, or range. It just flat out says that it's going. So Bree's like, I don't know what a Viking stove is. I'll tell you, it's a really expensive stove. But having said that, it really wouldn't matter. If it's a stove, it says in the contract that it is a fixture. Notice the other tricks I tried to do with you here. The ficus tree, well, trees are typically fixtures, but this one was in a plant, right? So you're good. The side-by-side refrigerator that matches other appliances, I tried to trick you on that by using something that you would call, it was kind of customized for the kitchen, but it's not a built-in. So if I can remove it, it doesn't matter that it matches. And then the chandelier in the dining room, clearly that would have been a fixture if it had been up, but they never took it out of the box from Lowe's. So you got all of those correct.
Chris, I have I'm the one. I don't understand the difference. A stove and a refrigerator both are fixtures. Why the stove is the
both are appliances. Both are appliances.
Yeah, I know.
This will become more obvious to you when we actually do a walkthrough of the offer to purchase and contract. I can't remember when that comes up on the syllabus, but if any of you want to see a walkthrough of the offer to purchase and contract, I have a recording of it if you want to take a preview. I don't know where y'all are on your studying right now, so I hate to give you too much when you're already trying to keep up, but I have a great walkthrough of the offer to purchase and contract if y'all want to see that now. But the stove is typically considered what they call a built-in appliance. And a refrigerator, you just kind of roll it into the spot.
Okay.
Now, if the refrigerator had been a Sub-Zero built into the house, then in that case, it would qualify as a built-in, and it would have been as well. Yeah.
So normally stoves are considered.
Yes, stoves are specifically mentioned in the contract. You'll see that when we really do a breakdown of the contract. Yep.
Okay.
By name, they're mentioned. Okay.
Okay.
Good.
Got it.
Oh, Bree.
I gotta learn about my stoves.
All right, all right.
No.
Okay, y'all did pretty good on that one. I don't know if y'all have noticed yet, there are a lot of E words starting with the letter E. They don't mean anything close to each other, but they look confusing on tests. And keep in mind, on tests, oftentimes we give you 4 answers. And so what we're trying to get at here is in studying the new national exam, I swear it seems like it's really, really vocabulary based. So knowing your definitions of these words, like implements, you knew that it goes with crops in the field. Implements has another definition as well, the right of the owner to go back and reap what they have sown. So that has a meaning. But some of the other E words, easements, escheat, estovers, whatever else I'm missing, eminent domain, for example. So sometimes on a flashcard, once you know it all, a lot of times I just play games with letters or numbers. What are my E words? What are my M words? What are my dates? 3 days, 5 days, 180 days. How do they fit in? Just different ways to play with knowledge. Y'all did great on there to see. UCC filings, the trick on the UCC filings is UCC filings are not a lien against the house. The Uniform Commercial Code is what they would call a chattel mortgage. In other words, it's only a mortgage against personal property. It's never a lien on the house. So that was the trick that I threw in on that one.
That's
Okay.
because my brain couldn't process that acronym fast enough to know exactly what it was.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and by the way, on the exam, there are a few acronyms. UCC they might actually use, but typically if they use an acronym, they spell it out, put it in parentheses, and then that way if they use it later, they're very, very fair on the test. In this, I had limited characters, so I was not always completely fair. You guys are doing great, by the way.
When we can answer, it's too fast. People take a time to figure out what we're gonna answer.
Yep, you're doing fine. You're doing fine. And what we have found on the test, Roger, is that while you can't waste any time on the exam, you have plenty of time. So in other words, you won't feel quite the stress time on this. Yeah.
I skip questions when I have no idea. Then come
Yeah,
back.
and then come back to them. You can also do that on a computerized test.
On the LTP,
Oh, here comes another question. Here comes another question, Roger.
this is easy.
I tricked some people though. Riparian rights refer to rights on an oceanfront property. Oceanfront properties would typically be littoral rights. Bodies of water that have tides are littoral. Riparian, river or streams. Think about it that way and you'll usually be pretty good. Okay. Ashley missed that one. I got her. I can tell by the face. She missed that one. All right, let's see who's making a move. I'm finding out that Bree is insanely competitive as well. I think she
Not at all.
she won't say it, but she is. Okay, good job. I like where we are on this. Here comes the next one. We have a misspelling of a word. The right answer is misspelled.
Mhm.
Lisa, are you still on the call? All right, I'll make a
Yes,
note.
I'm still here. Which one?
Avulsion should be spelled with a A.
Yeah.
Almost got me.
I
What
didn't-
question number is it?
It's see if I can
19.
19.
19, thank you.
I'm making a note.
That's not a trick they'll try for you on the exam. That would be a dirty trick. We're gonna spell words, misspell words, and see if you can still get it right.
I'm a bad typist. What can I say?
All right, good job. Yeah, in this case, when you sell riverfront property, your water rights transfer to the property, transfer to the person that you sold the property to. It would be not inconceivable, it'd be impossible, I guess, to do otherwise.
Can become a friend of the owner and say, can I use it sometime?
Okay, let's see. Everybody's in the same spots. Good job. Oh, this is a toughie. Ooh. Okay, I spread it around just a little bit. Now, again, this is one of those questions that this is one of the hardest things to teach, but they test it in a very, very simple format. You have to know what your freehold estates are. Freehold estates mean ownership, right? Freehold means ownership. Fee means inheritability. So when I'm looking at this question here and I'm talking about are not inheritable, I can eliminate defeasible fee and fee simple because they're both fee estates. They literally say that they are inheritable, okay? And then I get into my freaky life estates here. Now, in a conventional life estate, the life tenant owns it for their life, but they cannot leave it to their heirs. It was already chosen who that property was going to go to by whoever granted it to the life tenant, okay? But in a life estate per otra v, what I often tell people is when I'm teaching the class, the person that it was conveyed to is not the measuring life. So A to B for the life of C. Let me see if I can make up a story about this. I'm not sure what Nicole used on this, but I say, here's a situation. An old man's getting ready to die. His wife is still living, but has limited capacity. And so what he does is he leaves the property to his wife, but only, let's see, I'm sorry, leaves the property to his son, but only as long as his wife lives. All right, so she's the measuring life. He really wanted to take care of her, right? But if he gave the property to the son, who owns the property? The son, right?
So,
A to B, father to son, okay, he owns the property, but he only owns it as long as mom is alive. You with me so far in the per otra V?
yeah, yes.
Okay. Tomorrow, the son pulls out of his driveway, gets hit by a Mack truck and dies. Who's going to own the property?
It's still the mother.
It can't be the mom. All she is the measuring life.
Okay, come back to the home.
It's
The
going to go,
heirs.
it's going to go to the heirs of the son as long as mom is alive.
Okay,
Now, here's the temptation that you get in class. The temptation you get in class is you're like, man, I can't picture this. How would this occur? Quit thinking that. What you need to understand for yourself is that a life estate per otra fee is both freehold and inheritable. If you ever run into one of these in the field, which you will not, you're just going to turn it over to the attorneys anyway. Okay. So anyway, that's a specifically designed question for a specifically designed answer that you may get on the exam. Very popular question. All right, got a little movement on the board, Roger is on a roll. He is on fire, moving up the board.
I'm in the fire for the rest of the part. That's a sign that 3 years will be.
Okay. There could be two things going on here. One is sometimes we teach this in the landlord tenant section. Sometimes we spend time on it depending on what our time is in the in the early phases of it. At the end of the day, this is, believe it or not, it's another definitional question. For example, as I look at a state for years, in my mind, I know that it's any fixed, F-I-X-E-D, fixed term lease. That's what an estate for years is to me. An estate from year to year, it's actually an estate of unknown duration. The reason it's unknown duration is if you don't give notice, it just goes on and on and on and on. Periodic tenancies are technically the exact same thing as an estate from year to year. That was the trick there. Periodic tenancies, estate from period to period, year to year, month to month, week to week, they all have the same characteristic. And then an estate at will, I don't think anybody guessed that one. Estate at will is when you let someone on your property. Okay, so we should have some movement in the board. Let's see how it's going here. Janani is rolling up. Rogerio coming up as well. Ashley, get off the phone, Ashley, and get these questions right. You're trying to close transactions over there while you're answering the questions. All right, next question. All right, y'all did well on that one, recognizing the fact that they weren't married yet, so they could not hold title as tenants by the entirety because they were not married yet. Hey, let me ask you this follow-up question. If they, once they get married, they bought that property, they own it as tenants entirety because they weren't married yet. Next week, they get married. How do they hold the property after they get married?
Do you become tenants by entirety?
No.
No.
They have to amend the title, right?
Correct. They remain tenants in common. Okay. And then one day the wife may look at the husband and say something like, hey, do you think that we should deed the property from ourselves to ourselves? Because remember, in tenancy by the entirety, you had to have the 5 unities: marriage, possession, interest, time, and title. Okay. And so Roger, be careful on that one, because a lot of times they like to ask that question. Nothing happened when they got married unless they went out and took a proactive step and redeeded the property to themselves. Okay.
Nothing happens there. So they can stay tenant by common forever till they die.
Yeah, literally they could. It's not a great legal move, but in fact, that would have been the case if they never choose to
They're just going to become tenants by entirety if they provoke that.
That's correct. Or if they buy new property now that they're married. Okay, so again, you're looking at these life events. What happens when someone dies? What happens when someone gets married, divorced, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Okay. Funny thing about this is you'll get really, really good at this, and then you'll get out in the field, and we won't let you advise people on this because this is legal advice. Okay. Right. Okay. That's a toughie.
Oh,
If you struggle with this one, it's really not fair to ask you this question in 20 seconds. When you're taking the exam and you've got like scrap paper or something like that, anytime that I'm dealing with these type situations, I draw a little bubble people and things. So you want to make sure you know what the rules of the exam are to know if you can do that. If you can't draw little bubble things, just take your time on this. And here's the question I'm asking myself. Ann, Bill, and Carol hold title as joint tenants. All right, joint tenancy, I know that includes the right of survivorship. However, Carl does something tricky. He sells to Dave. So at that period right there, Ann, Bill, and Dave own the property. Ann and Bill are joint tenants, and Dave is now a tenant in common with him. Okay. Then
this is easy to answer, but it's too fast.
Yeah, this was a little too fast. Then Bill dies. Well, keep in mind, Ann and Bill were still joint tenants. So when Bill dies, Ann now owns his share. So now Ann and who was it? Dave own property. And of course, they would be tenants in common because Ann has no one left to be joint with. So let's see. Ann and Dave is joint tenants. That's tricky. But you
I
didn't.
was a guess. I guessed.
Yeah. Yeah, trust me, with once you get comfortable with this and you have more time, you have a much better chance of getting this one right. Ann and Dave is tenants in common. Okay, good. Right. Bree's holding on, holding on. How many we have left? About 5 or so left. Yep, 6 left. TIE stands for tenancy in the entirety. Yeah. 2 things going on here. One, they're still married. Okay. They're separated, but they're still married. And if they still have tenancy entirety, if Joe dies, it goes to Jill. And then I threw in the word severalty to remind you that severalty is just sole ownership. Now that Joe's died, there's only one person on the deed, it's Jill. So she owns it in severalty. Okay. All right. And next question. Good job. Yep. I wasn't sure if y'all would have enough time to read all those and process them, but y'all did great on that. I used a lot of rules from the Condominium Act to try to trick you on townhouses, and you didn't fall for it. Good job. Oh, okay. I got a few of you on this. The definition was, of course, any encumbrance is any burden to title. It could be a lien, it could be something other than a lien. It's any burden on title. And interestingly enough, although the definition is any burden on title, right now I have a mortgage on my property, which would technically be an encumbrance. I don't worry about it because if I were to sell the house, I'd just pay the mortgage off. But it's still a burden on the title until I do. A couple of you guessed a right or privilege that runs with the land. That's an appurtenance. A lot of people confuse appurtenance and encumbrance. Those are a couple of words that they kind of mean opposite of each other. And then the taking of property through condemnation is eminent domain. So in this case, I took some of the vowel words and I just reversed them. I gave you the definition instead of the word. And then the right of a life tenant to take timber from the property, nobody took that, but that is the word estover, another E word that just reversed out on that. Okay. All right. Let's see how that affected the leaderboard. Uh-oh, Ashley jumped to the top here with only 2 or 3 questions left to go. If you're going to make your move, now is the time. Here we go. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm mean. Like I say, this one was a tough one. Why did I ask this question? Again, I guess I was just feeling mean at the time. An easement in gross versus an easement appurtenance. Okay, let's think about that for just a moment. An easement appurtenance, there has to be 2 parcels of land. Would you agree that a pertinent easement has to have 2 parcels of land, one benefiting the other, right? But an easement in gross is not like that. An easement in gross is what's referred to as a purely personal easement. And what that means is it's for a person or an entity as opposed to another tract of land. Oftentimes when we teach it, we focus on an easement in gross as being a utility easement, but technically it would apply to a purely personal easement. Let's say that I, Chris, own oceanfront property and you park at a parking lot up the street and you're like, Chris, I don't want to walk a mile to the next walk over to the beach. Would you let me take my little red wagon and walk across your property? I could literally give you an easement in gross to allow you to walk across the 10 feet next to my fence or something to that effect. That would be an easement in gross as well. Now, most people would not give a personal easement in gross. You know why? I'd be better off just to simply give you a license saying, hey, you can do it. But if I ever sell the house, and then it's gone. So easement in gross, it is a purely personal easement. 9 times out of 10, you'll see it as in regards a utility easement, but it could involve just a single individual as well. There is no dominant estate in a personal easement because there's only one estate involved, and party wall easements are actually appurtenant. Oh, okay. A little bit of a shuffle, a little bit of a shuffle. I almost messed up and said this was an easy one. Then I didn't realize I'd asked it as a true false question. It seems like the answer would be yes, but that it's not. The best way to discover an encroachment is through a survey. Okay. The title search will talk about the history of the property, but it will not recognize encroachments unless it has been recorded at some point in there, which encroachments are typically not recorded. So yeah, survey would have been the correct answer there. Got a few of you. Oh, Bree, you made a face. I thought you had missed it. You got it right anyway. And then your final question. Perfect. You guys are great on that. The main trick I was trying to get there was prescriptive easement, but you recognize that adverse possession is the taking of land. prescriptive easement is the right to use the land through adverse use. So y'all did great on that. And slide 224 means nothing to you guys. That just means that's where we stopped asking questions so that we would make sure that we pick up there when we ask your next set of questions. And so on the podium, who do we have today on the podium? Oh, Janani made that's third. I'm sorry. I thought she made a last minute move and jumped to first. She's in third there. And of course, Bree, I can tell you, if I were getting a study partner, I think Bree would be the study partner that I would look for. Actually, Bree and I and Ashley have the advantage. I'm not sure exactly because I hadn't had a chance to talk to the rest of you, but I know Roger mentioned the fact that it is extraordinarily hard to work under time constraints if English is not your first language. So I did want you to have a little bit of pressure on you today, but simultaneously you will have plenty of time on the test. And you guys are doing really, really well. You're getting these right. Nicole's doing a good job of focusing on what it is that you need to know. And the Learn Test Pass is keeping you focused on this. I'm gonna have to come up with some harder stuff when we do this again. Ashley, go ahead.
Chris, you are my chosen study partner, whether you like it or not.
Well, if you get the chance, I'm a pretty good study partner when it comes to this. So just let me know what I can do to help you guys as well. I, of course, will be seeing you on Monday. And I think we're going to be talking about agency. I didn't cut y'all off there. Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
With we blocked till 12 o'clock. I knew it wouldn't take quite that long, and I apologize for the technical inconveniences on that. But again, I'd like to open the door to you guys to just see what's on your mind. I'm going to ask you in order that you are on my screen to keep us from talking over each other. I'm going to ask you in the order that we have on the screen. Ashley, is there any area right now that you feel like you're struggling with that you would like to have more on, or is it just the volume?
Definitely volume, but my biggest thing is ownership and estates. But I think what I am finding is it's just going to be time spent in the material and memorization at this point. Because like you said, this is the part that I don't use in practice as often.
Yeah.
But I have to know it. So I
Yeah.
don't know if we can talk through it. I just need to memorize.
Well, one of the things that you have to do when you're studying ownership and estates is stay away from the what ifs. In other words, if you start going crazy trying to drill down, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? Focus only on the things that we talk about in the class. For example, what happens if someone dies? What happens if someone's divorced, et cetera, et cetera. Your comparatives are good. This is another case. A good friend of mine, Malia, she teaches at another school. She does what she calls foldies. And in her foldies, she will write things down on like 4 different columns. And at any given time, she can take 2 of them out and compare them to each other. And a lot of times that's what you need to do in these estates is how does it compare to the others? My mind, I think about a hierarchy. Some estates are better than others. Why is one greater than the other? And keep this in mind as well. When you're talking about estates, if I own a tenancy in common, if I'm a 1/3 tenant in common, I can't convey the whole property. I can only convey what it is that I own. All right. And if you get used to that in your head, it covers many certain situations. If I were getting ready to sell a property right now, and by the way, in case number 2, I own the whole property. All right. I'm getting ready to sell the property that I own right now, but it has a tenant that has a 1-year lease in it. What can I sell? I can sell a property that has a tenant with a 1-year lease in it because it has an encumbrance for that period of time. So if you keep that in your mind, I can only sell what it is that I own. Okay. That's always early on. That's one of the biggest problems, actually. So you're right where you should be. Okay. All right, Bree, you are next up on my list. Are there any particular areas that you're struggling with right now?
It's mostly just consuming everything and getting it to soak in. I think when I was making notes of the ones that I was missing, like the firm license and then freehold estates are the 2 things that I need to kind of dive into and focus on.
Okay. Awesome. Yep. Very specific. Stay very focused on that. If you guys are using materials outside of our stuff, just make sure that it's well vetted. For example, there's Prep Agent. A lot of people have good success with that. If any of you are using that, that's fine. The learn test pass stuff obviously is fine. If you go watch videos online, I would suggest that you mostly either watch mine. I know Travis Everett puts up a lot of videos as well, and his stuff is well vetted, so I know you're okay. So as you get tempted to use other things, that's fine. I get it, but just be very conscious about the stuff that you use and make sure it's well vetted. If you have to, you can ask me. Give an example. A lot of the stuff on Quizlet may or may not be technically correct because it's open source. So I like Quizlet, but I would want to make sure that I'm using it from an instructor like a Debbie Long. If I saw something on Quizlet by Debbie Long, I would understand that that's good stuff. Okay. All right, Nadia, you are next on my list here. How are things going with you so far?
They're good. I think it's, as Ashley said, it's the volume and the definitions. I just need to sit down and actually study.
Yeah, and that's fine. I think from a peer standpoint that you guys are all really well educated. So I think y'all can have some high level conversations. And if y'all did want to form study groups together, or if you wanted to get together at our office, I don't know, I can't remember how many of you that was a possibility for, but I would feel comfortable with you guys talking to each other. I don't always feel comfortable with a class. There's some people I don't want people talking to. But having said that, I think y'all have a really strong peer group here if y'all want to share stuff. Okay. All right. And Janani, how's it going for you?
It's good. Loving the learn test pass, and love the flashcards personally, because I was just telling to my friends here, like sometimes when I get stuck, I always use flashcards because that helps me kind of breeze through the voluminous material, kind of highlight only the points that I need to concentrate. That has been very helpful for me.
Good.
I do have kind of like a question, more operational standpoint.
Okay.
Like say, once we become licensed brokers in NC, is there a requirement that we need to declare if we don't intend to manage others' properties, or just don't do it? I don't, probably something out of the box, but
So you're worried about your personally owned properties, is that?
yeah.
Here's what the reality is. You can still be an individual, all right? Just because you have a license doesn't mean you're not a private citizen. And one of the things you'll find out about the landlord-tenant laws actually apply to everybody. They're not just real estate commission laws. And so you're not different. The problem is that if you have your license and you also own property, you're held to a higher standard. So if someone were to file a complaint against you, and the commission deals with this all the time. And I'll tell you, the biggest issue, Janae, is that a lot of people that own property that also have their license, they're not handling the security deposits correctly. And that's such an easy thing to fix that they're just sloppy, to be quite honest with you. And what'll happen is somebody will call the commission and they'll complain that I didn't get my security deposit back and they didn't give me an accounting or whatever. And that starts an investigation because you have a license. So, if you're pretty clean on managing your security deposits and stuff like that, I wouldn't worry about it. There are rules about if you have personally owned property, you can't commingle those funds with your trust account. So, but that's all very, very simple stuff.
That's a long run, right? I mean, I'm not even thinking BIC now, like, just the licensure and, get the know-how. So perfect.
Well, on your personally owned properties, you can have a trust account and not be a broker in charge, because in North Carolina, there's only two ways to hold security deposits. You can hold it in a trust account, or you could buy a performance bond. And so, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Oh, okay. So that's the other question I had. Thanks for addressing that. So I do need to have, so it is not just sufficient if I have a separate account for it, it needs to be a trust account. Is that right?
Yeah. And the logic behind that is, think about this. Now, these are big numbers, so you don't have to worry about them for a while. But in my bank, my money is secured up to $250,000 FDIC insurance. Well, with a trust account, if you had 100 properties, it's possible that you would have, $1 million in the trust account. If it's a trust account, each depositor in there is protected up to $250,000.
Oh, okay.
Also, the other important thing about a trust account is that if you were to go bankrupt, they couldn't attack your trust account because that's somebody else's money.
Got
So
you.
anyway, I didn't want to get into the weeds on that.
No,
But
no.
whenever you're ready to have a conversation about that, just let me know and I'll share some thoughts on that.
Perfect. I appreciate that, Chris.
Okay.
Thank you.
And then Roger, you are wrapping it up for us today. So tell me what's on your mind, where we can help.
No, actually, is a gigantic new world of words and some domains which I never worked before, even in my own language.
Mhm.
So my main challenge is just to try to speed it up this absorption to my
Yeah.
mind. And of course, the volume is a lot of things to read. But I think, for example, 2 units for every 2 weeks, we can put everything together in the mind. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, remember at several paces throughout this course, I'm going to ask you guys what you think about the pace. To be honest with you, there was a time where we would do 3 classes per week because people wanted to finish in 5 weeks. But what they found out is, yes, it helps with retention. The problem is the volume. And if you're trying to do an adequate job on this, I'm going to tell you some news that I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to tell you anyway. The new testing service that we use, we just saw a 10% increase in the number of people that pass. So the new testing service, I think, really puts a focus on vocabulary. And the reason I didn't want to say that, or I hesitate to say that, is because I don't want you to focus on just vocabulary. The way I look at a word is that I know what it means. And I always ask myself, what are 2 drill downs? So in other words, what are the next 2 questions they're going to ask? But Pearson VUE, they literally ask a lot of just definitional questions. And then on what we call the distractors, the other 3 answers that are not correct, they're kind of in the same family. That's the way they trick their classes up, is they put words that mean similar things together. And you just have to have the confidence that you have the right vocabulary word. Okay. All right. What else can we accomplish today?
You already did a lot for us today. Thank you very much.
Well, this is the start of something. We're trying to figure out exactly what the best strategies for you. So did you like the Kahoots game? Would you prefer a more of a give and take type situation? What are your thoughts on the format?
I don't know.
So I lost somebody there that was trying to speak. Okay. Anyway,
I would like to say one thing. For example, you give a lot of very good hint after the question. You know, for example, you did the question, everybody answer, then you say, oh, look, take a look at this and this and this. I like this way.
Yeah, y'all are doing great with putting together connections. So Nicole's got y'all trained really, really well. And I hope that we'll see that continuously. I think what I may do in the next one is maybe, in fact, do a few Kahoot and then maybe a slightly different format as well, as we're trying out different formats. Ashley, go ahead.
Sorry, I had it on mute. I will say, I think what we've discovered today is that most of us are pretty competitive. So even if we had longer, we're still going to be shooting to get the answer in the fastest. So longer to actually like analyze the ones that we need to think through would probably be incredibly helpful, at least for me. So like maybe 45 seconds instead of 20.
Maybe we'll try 30 first. If I go to 45, I'm gonna write really, really hard questions. So maybe I'll take that under advisement as I start doing the agency ones. Depending on how far we get in agency next week, the agency questions, they're actually hard to do a Kahoots on, because you need to write a long question. But we'll take that under advisement and figure out how to do that. And on those, I think you absolutely will need more time. Lisa, you have your hand raised.
I was just going to say, I'm going to try to chop this up. I'll chop up the technical difficulties, and I'm going to put it on. We have a 24/7 YouTube page. We don't have a lot on there, but I'll try to chop this up, put it on the YouTube page, the recording, if it comes out okay. And then I'll email everybody and say, hey, this is the link if you want to go out and you want to look at it just to see what the questions are and hear what the discussion was. And I took a picture of everyone, so I might put your picture out on our Facebook page too. I'll say these are our folks who are brave enough to hang out with us on a Friday afternoon to discuss some real estate.
Please don't put my.
I need a little warning, so I'm not making.
Next time they're gonna, they're gonna be all dolled
No.
up.
I hope you
No
didn't
glamour
capture,
shots.
I hope you didn't capture my face when I answered wrong. I'm like,
Right, that's what I was wondering.
We'll make
When was
sure that we
the-
pick the most, the best looking.
Look, I'll take one right now. If everybody wants to smile, let me get my camera up here. I'll take one. Everybody, okay, put on your glamour shot face.
Bree posed. She didn't just smile.
It
She
did
posed.
pose. All right, 1, 2, 3. All right, I took a couple. We'll see how they turn out. You're kind of far away, so they won't be. They'll just kind of see your outline.
Yeah, it'll be tiny, small. By the way, I am not talented at teaching math on Zoom. Fortunately, the math is not that hard to start with, but some of you will struggle with math. I actually had a person from another school the other day. She sent me some questions and said, I'm struggling with this. So what I did is I just set up a camera and recorded me doing it on the board. So I'm not above any strategy to help you guys get through this, but I need your feedback on what it is you need at any given time. So there it is. Week 2 is in the bag. Sounds like we have about 6 weeks left. Does that sound about right? All right. When we hit next week, we'll be halfway there. So there's that, or close to halfway there. All right. If there are no more questions, you're going to be free to go.